Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday. Well, actually, when you see this, it will be Friday. But anyhow, keeping it real with the Sisters of the Light. I'm Kuether here with Terri and Russell, and our special guest is Nancy Yearout. So, hello.
Hey, welcome.
Welcome. Yes.
Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, I'm excited. Nancy, where are you from? I'm not too sure. Where are you? Where are we zooming you from?
I'm zooming from New Mexico, but I grew up in Ohio and Michigan.
Oh, okay. All right. So cool. So what brought you to New Mexico?
Oh gosh, that's a story in itself. My parents were here. I was a single mom.
Uh-huh.
I was dropping the kids off early in the morning, and it was dark, dropping them off at Latchkey, going to General Motors, picking them up at dark.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. And it got to the point where I decided to move out to New Mexico, where my parents had retired.
Wow.
And they were able to keep an eye on the kids so I could work and they could have somewhat of a normal life. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's what did it.
I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Thank God for parents. Thank God for parents. But I did have to say that I was one of those parents that I always told my kids, okay, if you have kids, I will be the best grandmother ever, but I'm not going to be the full-time babysitter just because I already did that. If I want to go get my nails done, I want to go get my nails done. So, yeah.
I have to say, well, my grandson was born, my first grandson. I have 2 children. And so my first grandson was born, and it hit me hard because I hadn't had a baby in so many years. And then all of a sudden, my oldest daughter and I are 20 years apart. I was 20 when I had her. Yeah. So when she had Xander, my grandson, and he'd never had a boy. So it's like, it brought so much joy. I will tell you this, it changed my life. Because we hadn't had a baby around, and you forget, you know what I mean? And when a baby's brought into the world, you start to remember, and how wonderful and how beautiful and the miracle of life, really, not to be, and he has brought so much joy. He's 13 now. 13.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, with you leaving and how you said you came to New Mexico and all that, was this because of your abilities? Have you always done this your whole life, or where did your abilities start? Let's start with you and what you do and all that, all your greatness.
Okay. I think my grandmother had abilities. In fact, I know she did. She used to stand outside and try to move the clouds. She would say, "I'm moving the clouds." It was really interesting. She read a lot of Edgar Cayce. I have her old Edgar Cayce book. I have all her old spiritual books from when she was here, and so that was really cool. When I was a little girl, all I wanted to be was an angel.
Oh,
and that's an odd thing for a child want to be. Now, my father actually must have picked up on it, because when I was about 8 or 9 years old, he made these giant wings for me. And they were made out of plastic, and they were made out of garland. Gold.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and he was an engineer, right? Oh. So he engineered these gigantic wings on me, and I won first place in the Halloween, whatever it was, a fair that we had in our little town. But yes, when I was a little kid, that's all I wanted to be. And then I forgot about it. And then life got in the way, and I was a rocker. I was from Detroit, and
I can see it. I can see it. I can feel your vibe of that too.
I sat front row to Van Halen, and that, I was a cheerleader. I was an outgoing person. I was a speaker. I was a debater, but all that kind of stuff got lost. I had kids, and then I was a single mom, and I met a woman. She was a psychic. Her name was Naomi. And the story is in my book, Wake Up, the Universe is Speaking to You. And I was in a really bad marriage, and she taught me a lot. And one of the things she taught me was affirmations. She taught me how to draw things to myself. She started to help me wake up, I think, my own abilities. And it took many years. When I really learned my gifts was in the real estate industry. And that's when I learned how to draw a business to myself. And I would say affirmations every day.
Yeah.
I say money flows immediately and constantly to me, and I accept the abundance. I would say I sell houses like crazy. And I did. And I was Rookie of the Year for the Albuquerque Board of Realtors, and eventually opened my own firm. But that's how I took care of my kids. But what I learned was I had figured out about energy, and that I could use the energy for my benefit. And I thought, wow, people don't know this. Like, I could win card games. I can win games because I can put, because I know how to manipulate the energy, not manipulate, but I know how to work with the
Work
energy.
with it. Yeah. And is that how you started writing your first book?
Yeah.
Wake Up, the Universe is Speaking to You. I love that title.
Yeah, here's my book. And this is old. I need to write a new book. It's time, actually, and I'm going to do it. I wrote this, 6-7 years ago, and I wrote it because I had the opportunity and I had the time. And yeah, I wrote about faith and what it was like to be a single mom and to have faith in God and to realize what true faith is. And I wrote about essential oils and prayer and affirmations and energy and how the universe works. And I started to learn how the universe worked, and I started to, and I wanted to get the word out about God. I talk a lot about God in this book. I reference everything in my book is reference to a Bible verse, believe it or not. I talk about the spoken word, the power of the spoken word, how Jesus talked about the power of the spoken word, the vibration. And then I started to realize it's not just the power of the word, it's how we feel, it's our emotion. It's that emotion behind those words that give it power, that make that create the way we want to, because we are creators. And then I've learned we're creators. And then I learned to connect. And then I started to do my podcast.
Yeah.
I Road to Humanity. And why did I start the podcast? Because I felt like this wasn't enough. They weren't hearing me. Look, it's Wake Up. But no one heard me. I was like,
how long ago was that you started the High Road to Humanity?
I'm sorry, say that again.
How long ago did you start High Road to Humanity?
2018.
Wow,
Oh, no.
4 years.
Yeah.
2018, I started the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Net Radio, and they were wonderful. They sent me the microphone and they sent me the headphones, and they were so supportive and they were wonderful. And I started doing it on, not on Zoom. At that time, we did it on, what's the other, I'm sorry, I can't, my mind's got a blank. It's the other video thing, Skype.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Skype, yeah.
Yeah.
And I learned how to do Zoom. But the reason I started to do Zoom was I realized people like the visual.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I started, so I got on YouTube.
Yep.
And then I grew YouTube. And that took a few years. And we're up to almost 8,000, I think, people, but more on my podcast. Podcast has a couple 100,000 because I've been doing it longer.
Right.
But YouTube, so now I just bought a channel on a TV station.
Yeah, she told me about that when I saw you last. That's awesome.
Healing Within TV. And so we will be available on Apple and Roku. And all of my shows they're being moved off of YouTube onto Healing Within TV. And it will be $3.99 a month, but I've got over 320 some shows, lots of information. There'll be classes. The cool thing about this is we'll have a larger audience and I'll be able to go live.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I want to go live. I want to answer people's questions.
Right.
So that's and I think our first live is going to be the 19th or 20th. I'm a little nervous this month. So we're going to go live and it'll be fun. So that's my next step. We've brought High Road to Humanity to another level.
So let me ask you, do you put your talk into practice, right? So to manifest all this stuff we talk about all the time, you've got to put the work in behind it. It's not like you just sit there and go, I want a TV show and think it's going to show up. There we talk about that emphasis you need to put in it. Tony Robbins, I like the way he calls them invocations.
Right. I have 3, they're not in front of me or I would grab them. I have 3x5 cards. And I'm going to tell the audience that this is what you do. And I've done this my whole life. And when I haven't done it, things haven't gone that well. So Affirmations are powerful because even if you don't believe it, you're telling the universe what you want, and the universe always says yes.
Right.
Always. So one of my affirmations has been High Road to Humanity is the #1 TV show, podcast, and YouTube show in the world.
Woohoo!
So I say that.
Yeah, I love that.
And you know what makes it so powerful is exactly what you said before. You can say all the affirmations you want, but you have to truly believe in those affirmations, and you have to put the power behind the words. So you're doing that, and exactly what you are saying, look, it's coming true because you're doing exactly what that is.
Right.
I love that. Right on. Good for you.
Well, I work for God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And God is not a bad word.
No.
And you can say source, you can say creator, you can say high vibration, you can say whatever you want, but we do have a higher power. I call him God, and I connect every day. And when you connect with God every day, you start to realize what's important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so what's important to me is to get the message out to the world, to connect with God every day so they can be centered and happy and joyful like I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And don't you just love it? Don't you just, because when you get in that feeling of just bliss, that I can understand, and like in the beginning, like you said, you just want everybody to know, you just want them to feel what you're feeling, because it's like a love that you just can't explain. You can't explain the love, and you can see that you're passionate about that. So that's really, really cool. Now on your live that you're going to be doing in the TV, how did it now? Are the people allowed to come on like here on Zoom? They'll just be able to push a button and come on, and then the interaction will just start?
Well, they'll be able, I haven't done it yet, but we're going to try a little bit today, but they'll be able to type and they'll be able to call. And yes, I don't know if they can join. I guess they can join by Zoom too. She did say that. So this is going to be like, the first one coming up. But it's really important that people get their questions answered. I interview people from all over the world. My show means the world to me. Each person has a story. That we can learn from. Everybody is so interesting. And God sends them in the order that I need it. It's very, very interesting how this has all worked out. Every time it's time for me to learn this next thing, then that person shows up on my show.
Isn't that, I love when I tell people that, it's like, well, how does that happen? And I'm like, you can't even explain how it happens, because just the right person or the right information or the right book or whatever it is, when you're open to seeing those signs, right? And we're open to what the next step is. Okay, just show me, God, show me what I need to do next. And then it comes and you're like, holy cow, did that really happen? And then you start to go more and more and more. And that's how you learn to trust what that is that you're being shown.
Well, and it's just like you, Terri, because you had come on my show once, and you were a great guest, and I knew I was coming to Sedona, but I have never met you. And I was told to call you, and I was told, like, interview this girl, go to her office and interview her and do an interview in person. And you're the only interview I set up while I was in Sedona. I mean, meanwhile, there were like all these people that were there speaking, but you were the only person that I really wanted to interview. And there was a reasoning behind it. Because when I did go to her office, even though I heal people and I have this great energy and all this good stuff, I needed a healing. But I didn't know it. And see how they work? Yep. And when I say they, I want people to understand that the angelic realm works with us, that there are spirit guides that work with us. There are, your loved ones who have passed that work with us to help guide us so that we stay on our right path. Does that sound proper? Is that
Absolutely. Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Archangel Gabriel? I know for me, I shared this with you when I met you in person. I had never even heard of Archangel Gabriel, and I started channeling Archangel Gabriel. And I actually wrote a first book similar to like yours called Sassy Soul Advice that I was guided by him to write. And when I started looking into who Archangel Gabriel was, I was astounded, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly how he feels, how, because I'm so clairsentient, so I feel a lot of times, and I'm clairaudient and I hear. So I was like, oh my gosh, how amazing is that? So tell me about your experience with Archangel Gabriel.
Well, I work with my angel all the time. She's right here. And when I do readings, she works with me. And then I was talking to somebody and they said, well, you need to bring in Gabriel, and I'm going to teach the audience how to do this. And I bring him in like this. I bring him all the way in like this. And so I asked Gabriel to come in, and he comes in, and then I ask him what message he has for humanity. He is the messenger. I am the messenger for him. And so I bring forth his messages. Now I put them on my website, nancyyearout.com, so you can go and read them. If I do a reading with you, I'll do a message. But it's funny, the last reading I did for this girl, right? So I like channel this really cool message. And all she wanted to know was about her boyfriend. She didn't care about what Gabriel had to say. I'm like, dude, she's like, oh, but is he going to come back? And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I just channeled. So, I mean, you got to take it all, I don't know, with a grain of salt. He's here. He brings forth the messages. Whether or not people listen is up to them.
There you go. Now, what exactly are all your abilities?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Should I go get a coffee and come back, or no?
Well, I have a clear so I have a clear connection. So any information you want to know just comes immediately to me. So I have that. I'm an empath, so I pick up the energy of other people. Most of the time, even if I don't want to, sometimes, that's a hard one, because you don't want to shut yourself off, but I do pick up the energy. I know things when I don't want to know things. I know if you're lying to me. I pick that up very, very quickly. I can tell if you're lying. And it insults my intelligence. I get upset about that. Loud noises, things like that, because I'm such an empath, affects me. I can't go into certain places that, I can, but I won't if I feel like it's dark or heavy or anything like that. As far as my healing abilities go, I have really strong energy. I have angelic energy. I come from the angelic realm. And so I'm able to use my abilities to heal. And I can shoot it through Zoom, or I can, do it in person. I think Terri caught it when we did our interview, which was quite interesting. And you can talk about that if you want to. But
yeah, the first interview that we did about my book on your show, and being attuned and feeling that energy, I'm always feeling people's energy too. So I immediately, and I feel like when you have two healers in the same room, the energy is just, and so now we have 3 today. The energy is just so amazing, and I could really feel that energy coming off. Tell us a little bit about how you figured out you were a star, and when you came to me, that we tapped into that a little bit.
I was in, okay, so.
Wait, well, like a star, like an actress star? Or are we talking star?
Yeah, well, I knew I was angelic, first of all. Let me say that, because people would recognize me. And I think Maureen St. Germain was the first person that said, Nancy, you're an angel incarnate in this body. And then Michael, he's also an angel, Michael Terzi, and he's like, I'm an angel. And I'm like, yeah. And so we start to recognize each other. And so that part, kind of came together. Then when I got to, of course, God always puts me in these positions. I started rooming with Celestine Starr, and she's connected with the Galactics, and she works with the Galactics. And so she took me out on Star Watch and everything, which was fun. And we got to see the ships, and she taught me how to see the ships behind the clouds and how to connect, with those beings. And so she asked me if I wanted to have a quick session with her and find out my origin. And she did a session and took me back to where I was a star at one point, and came in to help humanity. So I don't know, and truly I don't know how it goes from the star of being birthed that way to the angelic realm, because I know I have that energy. So I'm not sure, but that's what I know. That's what I.
When did you become aware of it? Like, when did you know that you were on the angelic side? Right? Like, I know, like I literally have guides, but how did you know? Because you said you loved angels, right? So that clearly like you said, that was unusual, but when did you really come to be like, okay, I need to work with the angels?
Well, because I'm different than anybody else that I, yeah, I'm very different. I'm very kind, even, I'm just kind to a fault, even when I don't want to be. I'm down here to learn, I guess, my lessons as an angelic being, not to be so nice, not to have the balance.
I was gonna say.
I'm here on earth to learn I'm here to teach people, but I'm also to learn how to be on earth.
Mm.
And how did I figure it out? It just took a while. I mean, I know, I have a knowing, I have a connection with God. I have a very strong connection with the divine.
Mhm.
I've gone through trouble in my life and Jesus has come and I've been aware of his presence. I've gotten to see once when my father passed. I don't get to see that much. I think I will eventually see him. They tell me I'm afraid, but maybe I am a little bit. I just know how powerful my energy is.
Right.
I can walk into a room and change the vibration. I can heal somebody. I can turn a light off, which is really unusual. It's just, yeah. And I know this is going to sound really crazy to you guys, but I believe I will eventually get back my ability to levitate.
Ooh.
Oh, I'd love to see that. I truly believe that about you too. Did
Yeah.
it scare you? So I know for me, it scared me for a long time because I know how powerful I am and I understood what I was, but it was scary to me to be able to contain that power. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I have come into my power over the last several years, and I've had to go through so much. I want to explain to the audience, I've had to go through divorce. I've had to go through children, being terrible. I've had to go through narcissistic mother. I've had to go through terrible sisters and family. I have no family really. I've had to go through so much, but the reason I'm to a point where I get it, I had to go through it and I had to live it so I could help other people. Because how can I help you if I didn't go through it?
Yep.
Here I am, stronger than ever. And Maria knows that, just stronger than ever and getting stronger every day because of my connection with God. And because I've gone through so much and he's been there every step of the way and rewarded me. And I've worked hard and I've done it for the right reasons. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. And then you have the mindset of it's not happening to me, it's happening for me.
Correct.
When you walk through that path of darkness, I say, because we've all had things in our life, but I find the healers particularly have set up this really long, arduous road to make sure they get to where they need to be.
It
Mhm.
has not been easy. I just went through a horrible divorce, broke my heart. My husband cheated on me. But that's when I realized how empathic I was. I could see the girl next to him.
Mm.
That's when I realized my gifts. You asked me how I realized my gifts. It was in a difficult way.
Mhm. That's usually how it starts, though. I think that's where the trigger starts. I think we all know it. Like, I know with me, it started at a young age. There was just that knowing that I was different, right? And I would say weird things like, there's got to be more to life than this. I'll never forget saying that at 9 years old. There's got to be more to life than just this. That's a weird thing for a 9-year-old to say, but you do push it back. But I think it took a tragedy for it to pull through, because that's when the support system of the faith comes in and just assures you that you're not alone.
Right.
So I love that.
That's
Yeah.
it. You're not alone. And you know what? I went through, gosh, oh my goodness. I went through a mom who just, was so narcissistic and looking for love in all the wrong places until I realized I didn't have to do that. God loves me and I love me. And gosh, that takes so long to figure out. You're like, oh, okay. I don't need somebody else to validate me. I'm okay just as I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's, I think, the part of the reasons why we all need, like, well, I hate the word need. That's a hard word, because when you need more. But I think that's one thing why people seek out healers and stuff, is because they're missing and they don't know how to fulfill what's going on inside. They don't know how to get the pleasure within. They don't know how to get the answers within. And I think that's our job as the light workers and you doing your podcast and now the TV, is to really get out there and share that, no, it is all within you. You just have to find the faith and it'll come out, but you just need to really go in and do the deep work in order for it to come out and find it.
Well, actually, my goal is to get everyone to connect with God. Connect. Yes, it's within you, but you have to connect. You got to plug in. I don't care whether people plug in, like imagine it's a Apple plug, or whether they see the light coming down or whatever they do. But I'm telling you, the only way to be fulfilled on the inside is to connect with a higher vibration. And that's what we've lost. And that's what we're getting back. That's what
And I like how you said that, bringing back the compassion, the respect, and the honesty, because I really feel that as we go forward, if we could see people truly for who they are and hear their soul, I really don't feel that we'd be able to hurt or murder or rape or condemn anyone, because we would see them for who they are. And so if we bring back that compassion, that honesty, that love, you know, the world would be such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Well, true. You know, all this stuff going on in the media right now about color, we're all souls in these bodies. It doesn't matter what we look like on the outside. We decided what we wanted to look like before we got here. You know, if we could just get into that mindset, and just like you said, you know, and also know that we all have a little bit of God in us. So when you strike out at somebody, you're striking out at God. You know, we forget that. My daughter today, she's having this this is really interesting. God's testing me big time. You want to hear this? My daughter's not sure she believes in angels.
Oh my gosh.
And here I am. So we were talking about that today, and, you know, talking about the angelic realm. And she said, well, you know, I said, we have an angel. You have a guardian angel right here. And she says, well, I don't know if I believe that. That's your soul. I said, no, your soul's inside you. And then you've got, you know, an angel over here. And the reason I'm bringing this up is if people realized that they had an angel standing next to them, they'd really act differently and they'd speak differently. And they not
Oh, we lost her
a certain way. What do you think?
I don't know. You totally just cut out. Can you repeat it? It totally cut out.
I said, if you had an angel standing next to you and you realized it, you would act differently.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But we all do.
Yeah.
You know, you've got an angel standing next to you, right?
Oh yeah. I know I have my angel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we get that across.
Well, what did I grow up? What is that saying that I used to growing up? I always said, God doesn't like ugly. And so when I find myself being nasty or something, I'm like, God doesn't like ugly. That it brought me back. You know what I mean? Just that little phrase right there. It brought me back. Now, have you ever read your daughter? Are you able to read your family members?
Yeah, they do, I'll do angel cards and stuff for them. But yeah, I think it's her husband that's influencing her. Yeah.
That's very often that happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's okay, you know, because just like we were saying, that's their own journey. Everybody's here and they got to go through their own journey, right? And if go through it.
Exactly. And it's just one more test for me.
That's a very good way to look at it. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah. So now you mentioned you're going to be writing, or have you been thinking about writing another book? Or
I've got a lot of information that I need to write down. I haven't written a book in so long, and let me tell you, I've learned so much from the people who have come on my show. I have so much to offer, and I probably have a book full of messages from Gabriel that I could probably put together. But I'd like to write what it's like to be an angel on earth and what it's been like for me, so people understand, you know, what it's actually. There's a lot of us here. I'm not the only one, and so that's something I'd like to write.
That'd be really
I think there's such a need for that too, you know, really people. I know I have like 10, 20 books up here in my brain, but whether they're all going to come to fruition, I don't know. But I think once you start, it's like one of those projects, right? It's like anything else that we do that we're manifesting. I know for me, I've got to put 100% into what I'm doing. So a lot of times as healers or energy workers or psychics, we have our hand in so many different things, right? And so we get caught up in just like learning, like we're very curious too. So we want to learn this and that. Same thing goes for when we want to do stuff. There's so many things that we want to do and get our hands on while we're here, because we know that we're not really here. 80 years is not a long time.
Come on, I'm going to be here for 90. Period. No, you're exactly right. And I've had to get it down to the show because we're switching from, YouTube to Healing Within TV. And that's been like a big transition. We have over 300 shows that are going on. I can't even believe we've done that many shows on
Wow.
YouTube. It's crazy. And then there's a lot of instructional videos too from me, like how to manifest and how to do different things are on there too. But and I'm getting ready to sell the house and move. So I've concentrated on those two things. Yeah. Because if I don't, it's like you say, then because I do a little real estate still on the side. And so it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then readings, somebody will say, hey, can I get a reading? And so I do that too.
Yeah, there's so much. I was reading the reviews on Amazon about your book. Have you ever thought about doing a relaunch? Because that's what's coming up for me, like a relaunch of that book. Because I think now there's so many people that are looking for this, that with the amount of people that are awakening, they really want to know, like, hello, there's some support out there in this crazy world.
You know what? I think that's a good idea. I really should write another one. But yeah, I could do a relaunch because this book is really for people who are just waking up. You're exactly right. Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the book. I know we said the name and then we just got jumped through it, but what exactly is the book? So the people that are just like, wake up, what exactly is that? Like, what is that?
Well, I'm going to give you a little information here.
All right, let's do it. Just read it.
I tell you my story. I tell you what happened to me so that you get it, that I'm like a real person that had these things happen. And this is how I learned about faith. And so I talk about how energy affects your everyday life. The energy fields in your body, how to clear your energy fields, how to release the old energy with massage, with music, essential oils, the energy of water, energy of prayer, how faith works. Just ask and be grateful. Use your energy to forgive if you want to be forgiven, right?
That's huge.
Material possessions do not bring you happiness. I'm reading you some of my chapters. The universe presents us with lessons to learn. Coincidence or synchronicity? The energy of affirmations and visualizations, energy of meditation, the energy of love. Live like you have an expiration date, because you do. Rocks and the energy they hold, because I love rocks. I collect rocks. Numbers have energy. I'm big on numbers. I love numbers. I follow numbers. Numbers have energy. I do a chapter on the energy of the stars, the planets, and the moon, and the importance of diet and exercise to keep your energy flowing. I do a chapter on angels.
Holy cow. That's a lot in one book, man. That's a little bit of everything. Holy cow.
Yeah, and this is for people because I wanted people to understand how the energy works, how God works, how the universe works, how all this stuff works. We're not taught in school that whatever you say and whatever you think creates your reality.
Yeah.
And when you realize that, it's like, holy cow, right? Like, why was I not taught this?
Because there's too much power that would have been given away if we knew that's just too much power that would be given away if they taught us that, unfortunately. But you're right, stuff like that needs to be taught. Absolutely.
So we have a few minutes left. Is there anything else you want to ask Nancy before we end?
I don't know. I just I love your energy. I love what you do. And I think what I love a lot about you that really comes through, and this was really hard for me when I started, but I love about you is you have a lot of confidence, and so you like looking at the way you're holding yourself, you really know yourself and truly are embodied in who you are. And I think that confidence just flows out. So I love that. And I think that's refreshing, because not only that, when you're looking for people to do this kind of work and stuff, and when you have somebody like looking back at you that has that so much confidence and so much of that power, that's very intriguing and it's very inviting. So I'm very interested to see where you go. And I hope your podcast, and I hope this new TV and the Apple and the Roku, I hope it just takes off for you, because you are a light. And I love that you're sharing that with the world and trying to get your voice out there about that. I think it's awesome.
Thank you. What you're seeing is God. You're seeing the spirit. You're seeing the light of, if you bring in a lot, I know I sound like a preacher, don't I? But if you connect every day with God, you become more joyful, you become more balanced. This is what we're all missing. This is why our world is so messed up, because we didn't know to do this. And now a lot of us know to do it. And, thank you for that. Thank you for that compliment. I appreciate it. But I attribute that to balancing with the divine.
And that's a lesson in and of itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, what does keeping it real mean to you? We ask all of our guests after the end of our show.
I live it.
You live it.
Ooh, that's a good. See, look at that confidence. It came. There was no thinking. There was nothing. She just put it out there. Go, girl. Go.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, very cool.
Thank you for having me. You guys are
for joining us.
Thank you.
If you like our show, like and subscribe to it and share it out with all of your friends. We appreciate you. And we're really working hard at getting this out there, because that is one of our goals, like you, is to reach as many people as we can.
Absolutely.
You will.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up for us and for being such a great friend. I appreciate you.
Love you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.